Hello and welcome to the Laco YouTube channel. For over 80 years, Laco has stood for pilot watches, and a large part of the models are more or less based on historical models from the 1940s. When you look at the collection, some models look quite similar. After the intro, we'll shed some light on that together. A question that has personally occupied me quite often is how the original and the basic pilot watches from Laco differ. For that, I've invited Sarah Ruhmann today. Sarah is from marketing, and you've brought us a few models.
I've brought you two of our basic models and two of our original pilot watch models as examples. And also the old pilot watch from the 1940s, which serves as a reference for the original series.
Before we look at the differences between the two models, let's start with the similarities. What are they?
Well, as you mentioned earlier, also in the intro, at first glance they really do look quite similar because they are indeed pilot watches. Laco is known to many as a pilot watch brand because we produced these large ones here, the 55mm ones, in the 1940s. That's why Laco truly has the history as a pilot watch brand. And they all have that in common. That means they all have the typical pilot DNA, which is also evident with the designs, meaning the dials. Type A and Type B, as they are called in pilot watches, are all naturally made by our watchmakers in Pforzheim. That's why they are all made in Germany. Of course, all pilot watches have mechanical movements. Then, yes, they truly embody this pilot watch history.
All right, sounds very exciting. Let's take a closer look at the watches. Anything to say about the case?
Well, the case naturally includes the size. That would be the appearance that one notices first. In the basic series, they are available in 39 and 42mm diameters. Both sizes are also available in the original series, but additionally, we have a larger 45mm variant. And then it's best if we take a look at the two watches side by side. That's actually the easiest way. You can already see that the side view of both is quite significantly different, even if they look relatively similar from the dial at first glance from the front. From the side, you can see that there is a difference. In the basic series, we have curved lugs, so it's kept a bit more modern. In the original series, we have these straight lugs, which are taken from the old historical watch. That's why it's called original, because it was really adapted as authentically and originally as possible from the old one. Then there's the surface. You might have just seen it. Here we have a brushed surface, so it's a bit shinier in the basic series. In the original series, we have a matte gray case. Also adapted from the historical pilot watches, originally to prevent reflection in the cockpit. Today, we achieve it through a dark sandblasting.
Are there production differences?
Well, in the later production by our watchmakers, there's not such a big difference, but in the manufacturing, there's really a big difference where it's truly more elaborate. In the manufacturing of the cases for the original series. I can gladly show it to you again here. Especially these straight lugs, you see that they are narrower on the case than on the band. That is really elaborate. We don't have that in the basic series. Those are simply these curved lugs. It's a bit more contemporary. You find it more often in watch collections. And then we also have the dark surface finish here, which is also very elaborate. A special sand is used that makes the surface look like this. Makes it look like this. And with the original series, we also have an FL engraving on the side. Just like the historical models. And that is, of course, an additional effort.
What I'm interested in now. What about the glass? Normally, all Laco models have sapphire glass. Does that apply to these two models as well?
Of course. But we don't have the same sapphire glass. In the basic series, we have a very flat one, So if you look at it from the side, it's really flat. Standard also without anti-reflective coating. In the original series, we have a double-domed glass, so it's curved on the outside and inside. This is also very complex to manufacture. That's why there's a small price difference in the sizes, which we don't have in the basic series. And the original pilot urns are already anti-reflective, the glasses.
One more quick question about the case. It looks completely different. Is it the same material?
Yes, we use the same for both. 316L stainless steel. We also use it for all Laco models, except for the DN Pilot watch. That one has a different stainless steel, but otherwise the standard 316L. In fact, many people think the original Pilot watch is titanium precisely because of this surface. But we really want to have that slightly heavier feeling, and that's why we use stainless steel.
What about the back? Maybe we can turn both models over.
It would probably be best if we talk about the back. So, you can already see a big difference at first glance. In the base series, we have a sapphire crystal back, so it has sapphire crystal on the front and back, allowing you to see the movement. In the original series, some might wonder why we don't offer a glass back here, but we really want to stay true to the historical original. And that's why we have the engraving on the back, just like the old watch. However, it has it on the inside, we have it on the outside. There you can see, for example, the manufacturer is indicated and so on, that it is an observation watch, which is the technical term for this type of pilot watches. Exactly, it's a press-fit back. That's why we have a water resistance of 10 atm, which is also a difference. Therefore, no higher ATM number, but in the base series, we only have 5 ATM. Here, actually 10 ATM, which is really sufficient for the roughest conditions.
The crown is always a very interesting topic. What can you tell us about it?
I'll show you. Best directly on the watch. In the basic models, we also have a nice, grippy crown, but it's a bit more contemporary, like the case. Not quite as special as with the originals, which I'll show you in a moment, but simply matching the case, a bit more modern. With the originals, in the original series, we really have a relatively special crown, which is also inspired by the old models. Super grippy, so theoretically operable with gloves in the cockpit. And also important with the manual winding models, so the originals are also available with manual winding that you really have a nice grip there. In the original series, there's also an upgrade called a bridge, as we call it. It's simply a small piece between the case and the crown. Really, just like with the old watches.
Let's move from the crown to the dials. What is there to tell about them?
The dials are, so to speak, the most obvious part of the watch. Actually, one of the reasons why many people at first glance think they all look relatively similar. They all have this typical pilot watch DNA, as I mentioned earlier, which is why they are all available in this Ballmaster A or Ballmaster B pattern. But when you take a closer look at them, you can see the differences. So here with the basic series, you can see that we have a logo and we have a Made in Germany inscription. We don't have either on the original series. Truly modeled after the historical models, so it's kept very clean with no distracting elements, so to speak. Then, we use Superluminova on both because pilot watches must be easy to read. In the basic series, it has a slightly greener tint, even in daylight. In the original series, it's really actually white, so just a very, very slight greenish shimmer, but like that. At first glance, it is indeed white. Then, there's another special feature of the Superluminova in the night shots. In the basic series, everything glows, meaning the entire dial, the indices, the hands, and the numbers. In the original series, in the Type B, only every second number glows.
Are there different options I can choose from between the colors?
Yes, well, the classic, of course, is black dial, Especially in the basic series, we're going a bit more modern. So, for example, they are also available with orange Superluminova, with a blue dial, with a gray dial. We occasionally have limited editions with very colorful dials like green, olive, and so on. With the originals, we stay a bit more classic. They are available with a luminous dial. And as an heirloom, you've probably already seen it with an aged dial, which is really something special that's not available in the basic series.
Since we're talking about the dial, the hands are always a very striking detail. What can we say about that?
In both model series, we have framed hands, which are really typical for pilot watches. They match the dial and, of course, ensure good readability, coated with Superluminova. Then I'll show you the hands from the basic series a bit more closely. As I said, we have framed hands here, but they are simply normally black lacquered. The frames match the pilot watch, but I would say they are not as elaborate in production as now. From the original series. There, we have thermally blued frames. You can see it in the light, it really gives a beautiful shimmer and is very, very elaborate in production. Additionally, you might notice on the second hand, it has a small hole in the counterweight. So, it's really the very fine details that we have adapted from the historical pilot watch, which in total, as I said, make the differences.
Now we come to a point that is particularly important for watch enthusiasts, the movement. What can you tell us about it?
Yes, you say it's important for watch enthusiasts, but it's actually also one of the most important aspects for the price difference, where many wonder between the base and the original. In the base series, we use automatic movements from Japan by Miyota. And in the original series, we have Swiss Celita movements. In the base series, we only offer automatic movements, and the original series is available in both automatic and hand wound. Hand wound is really quite authentic again, traditionally based on the original pilot's watches.
So for the watches, we also need beautiful matching straps. What options available there?
Well, we have brown straps for both. But you can already see here, in the base series, we have a reddish brown. In the original series, we really stick to the classic dark brown, just like the historical models. But as you mentioned, a wide selection of bands, so, of course, we have a lot of other bands. And everyone can also choose a second band, for example, or we can also switch. So, if the customer wants or wishes for a different band, we are happy to change it. For the customer. Then, there's one more special feature, which I also brought with me here. In the base series, we have a metal band. We don't offer that in the original series, also because of the dark surface. But in the base series, we also have it. In this stainless steel look, brushed, really quite modern. You can then create a completely different look with the watch and wear it in various ways.
Thank you very much, Sarah, for explaining the differences between the original and the base. That has definitely become much clearer to me now.
You're welcome.
Det var så get missing or what?
Well, I've explained a bit about the similarities and differences, but if you want to know a bit more about the individual watch models, we have all our talks, which I recommend to everyone, where we take a closer look at the individual watch models.
If you still have any questions, please write them in the comments and we will say goodbye and see you next time. Goodbye.